We told you we'd be back. Welcome, and thanks so much for joining us for this special bonus episode of Season 4 as we prep for Season 5 of the Get Set podcast, an Old Girls Entertainment production. We are so thrilled to be here and sharing our experiences as women in the TV and film industry. Today on the pod, we have your co-hosts, myself, Monique Schwaneman.
And Jessica Payne. And our incredible guest today, ZAINAB AZIZI. ZAINAB is a producer and the president of Raimi Productions, whose mission is to entertain and inspire the globe through unique storytelling and a world inclusive of all people, monsters, and heroes.
We love it. And her most recently produced film, Send Help. In this film, two colleagues become stranded on a deserted island, the only survivors of a plane crash. On the island, they must overcome past grievances and work together to survive. But ultimately, it's an unsettling, darkly humorous battle of wills and wits to make it out alive. Send Help is directed by the genre-bending visionary Sam Raimi and stars Oscar nominee Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. The film is produced by Sam Raimi and ZAINAB, executive produced by J.J. Hook and written by Damian Shannon and Mark Swift, to our knowledge, no relation to Taylor Swift, with original music by Danny Elfman. This all-original, darkly comedic psychological thriller from 20th Century Studios releases in theaters this week, nationwide, January 30th. So we are so excited. Welcome, ZAINAB.
Thank you for having me.
So excited to have you on. We're definitely going to get into the Send Help of it all. But before that, let's start from the beginning. Where do you call home and how did you get into this crazy industry?
I call home Maryland. I'm from Montgomery County and I went to college there. When I was about 14 years old, I visited Los Angeles for the first time and I completely fell in love with the city. And I knew I had to get there one way or another. After college, I moved there. I actually did not have a job lined up, and I initially got a job in marketing, and I needed to, help pay the bills. The job wasn't paying enough. My parents were cutting me off, like most parents do. And
tough love.
Yeah, I know, tough love, but we all need it. Mm-hmm. And I applied everywhere online, and I got a phone call from CAA, and they were hiring a marketing assistant. I had no clue what CAA was. So the interview was the next day, I know. And
that's a heavy hitter to start with.
Yeah. I know. And I did all this research and I stayed up all night. And I remember going into the interview, just completely zonked out, just running on coffee. And it was not my best A-game interview. And I waited about a month to hear back. But during that time, I did a deep dive of research about how to start in the business because I thought, wait a minute. I grew up loving film. I'm an avid reader. What if I just start in the mailroom somewhere? And that's how it all started. And it was really tough for me. I didn't have any connections. I didn't have any relatives that were in the business. So it's a funny story, actually. At WME, I called the front desk. They transferred me to the HR department. And a girl was brand new. And she, by accident, gave me the head of HR's email. And I emailed her directly. And her second assistant emailed me back for an interview in 2 weeks, and I was hired in the room. And that was the start of my Hollywood story.
Love it.
That's insane.
I love happy accidents.
Yeah. So lucky for you. Oh my gosh. So then where did you go? How long were you there? Where did you go from there?
We started in the mailroom, and at WME, what you do is you push the mail cart. You're working in a windowless basement floor sorting mail. It's not glamorous, but I just kept my ear to the ground and I learned everything. And from the mailroom, you get promoted to an assistant, and then you work at each desk for about 6 months to a year. And then I got promoted to coordinator. I was in a trainee program. I think that was almost 5 years when I then packaged a film for Sam Raimi. And then that's how I made the jump from agency to working at Raimi Productions.
Been with Sam from the beginning of your journey and getting into producing.
Yes, definitely in the beginning of producing, but not in the beginning of a journey. So I was at William Morris for almost 5 years, and that was my school. That was my grad school of film. And that's, being in the mailroom with all my peers. I'm friends with all of them today. Some of them are studio executives, some of them are directors. It's really a fascinating place to start, and I learned everything from my incredible bosses and mentors at William Morris. So it was a great jumping ground for me to get into
Yeah.
producing.
How did you land on producing? Like what kind of brought you to that
Sparked your
space?
interest.
Because I feel like for me, especially growing up, I'm like, I saw, the actors on screen, and officially I was like, originally I was like, I'm going to act. And then I realized very quickly that I do not like acting. And I'm not very good at it. So lucky for me. But yeah, it's not until you kind of get more into the industry that you realize the different roles and different, jobs there are in the industry. So how did you land on producing? Where did that come from?
Yeah. I mean, I think when I started in the mailroom, and even to this day, I always keep an open mind. I'm never so set on one thing. I think I'm open to wearing many hats.
Yeah.
So the one thing I did know is I wanted to work with filmmakers at William Morris, and all the different bosses that I had really prepared me. For example, my first desk was Joe Austin, which was in the global, they called it the global department, but basically it was packaging and indie sales. And that taught me a lot, because that global department ended up becoming Endeavor, which ended up becoming its own production company. And then I worked in the motion lit department, which I loved because I loved working with writers and directors. So when I started working with Sam, I was actually hired to be the head of development. And within a year, I got my first project greenlit. And I said to Sam, like, all right, what's the next step? And he goes, you're producing it. You're going to be on the ground. And I go, what?
Wow.
So I was really thrown into it. It wasn't, it's a crazy roller coaster. And I think every movie that I've produced has been a learning lesson. And I'm still learning every day. Every day I'm learning.
Well, especially with producing, that it's one word that can mean such a variety of different things. And
Exactly
the array of, your scope can change so much from project to project. But that's very exciting that like this was the first project that you packaged with him, and then you ended up producing it.
Yes. Yep. So, and it was a movie called which I really, really loved. And it was written, directed by a young Korean American female filmmaker. So that it was definitely, I would say, the hardest movie I've produced. Granted, it was my first one as well, and I learned so much from it.
Were there some like specific growing pains or learning experiences that you remember from that project that stand out to you?
Yes. I mean, what was interesting was that while we were in prep, COVID happened. So we had to shut down for a little bit, and then we picked it back up and we had to move locations, and we were one of the first productions during the pandemic. So on top of it being the first project that I produced with a first-time filmmaker, it was during the pandemic. So the whole experience was a learning curve, but I definitely learned a lot about navigating studio relationships with young filmmakers. So that whole movie was definitely a lesson.
I feel like one of the good things about it's kind of evens the playing field whenever something like historic, like a pandemic happens, where everyone is learning, like even the people who have been in the industry, all of a sudden we're having to learn how to do things differently in order to do things. So that makes sense that, I don't know about Thrive, but clearly you did a great job to where you're still working with Raimi Productions. What are some of the aspects that you learned with like navigating the relationships with the studios?
Right. I mean, it's, part of my job is to make sure that my director is happy, my talent is happy, and the studio, the financier of the studio, and finding a way to make sure everyone's notes are applied and for the interest of the film. And so you have to have a lot of people skills. You have to have, it's a lot of management. You're part strategist, part therapist, part problem solver. That's what I call a producer. One lesson I learned is to make sure that the filmmaker in the studio is always on the same page about what type of film they're making. I think that was my biggest lesson.
When those things get derailed, how do those conversations go? Do you silo people and you have those individual meetings with those entities and then come and bring people together if needed?
Yes, definitely that way. You don't
No
if you don't
ambushing.
have
Let's hash it
yeah,
out all together. No,
Yeah.
probably
yeah.
not.
No. I think one thing the one thing I do take pride in is that I think there's an old era of producers who just love chaos and love all of that, and I like to be more zen and peaceful. So I think it's really important to have these individual conversations first before putting everybody together.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
so important too, because I really feel, I mean, making a film, as fun as it is still like, it's such a high stress job with like
Yes.
the money and the time crunches and all the things. So really
Yes.
being that person to be like, you can come to me, everything is fine. Even if it's not,
Yes.
we'll make it work.
Being approachable.
Yeah.
Being the
Yes.
person that people want to go to.
Yes. It's like if there's a problem, you're going to find three solutions. Like we'll figure it out. And, and I've seen producers who are very reactive, and they thrive under the chaos. And I don't think that's very conducive. And maybe I'm a little bit delulu, but I like to be more calm and collected.
I also wouldn't think it's sustainable, like
No.
maybe personally, mental health wise for them, or sustainable for that project. Like you can't be so reactive that these things aren't calmly thought through to what the ramifications of what that decision is going to be.
Exactly.
And as someone who's like worked on like the bottom tier of sets, I will say like everyone feels it. If there's stuff happening up, above the line going on, down below the line feels the chaos as well, because they're the ones having to scramble, So that's an ideal producer, is to actually have, calmness.
Yeah, it's a lot of responsibility, and it's a gift that we're making a movie. So, just always, come in with gratitude and patience and kindness. That's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I do want to touch upon the relationship aspect as you are building your career, because I feel like that's so important. A lot of people, give the advice of network up, like network with people higher than you. But we also say on this podcast, network horizontally too, because as you grow, these are the people like you had at William Morris that you said are growing into their positions and finding their place within the industry. And like you said, you're still in contact with them. So can you speak a little bit to how important it is as you're building to still be a nice human being? As you're saying, like, even though you're a nice human being now, it's important as you're building too.
I mean, here's some examples. When I was in the mailroom, I met one of my closest friends. Her name's Allie McCardle. She's now a creative executive at 20th Century. And when I had the scripts send help, I went to her. I went to her and our other executive, J.R. Young, but I made sure like she was in the mix. And it's, and the movie's about, I mean, you've both, I believe, have seen
we saw it
Yeah,
yesterday.
It's
so
great.
good.
We need to dive into that. But before we do, I wanted to make sure, this is my friend that I've started in the mailroom with. And of course, I want her to be part of this process. And it was so exciting to make a movie with her, and that it's just, in especially this movie, which you've seen, like it's a, girl power film.
Yeah,
totally.
And it was really exciting. And it's funny, yesterday we watched, Allie and I sat next to each other. We watched the film in 4DX. And I just looked at her and I was like, we did it.
Full circle moment.
We made this movie together, and it's really exciting.
That's so special, like to have someone next to you that you can just be like, we started from the bottom, now we're here. Like literally, like we have this, like that we did together and we grew up, with it.
I mean, we were in as assistants getting yelled at by our bosses. And I mean, granted, we still get yelled at, you're always going to get, that's part of the business, whatever. But it's just fun to see, your peers and your friends grow and evolve together.
Absolutely. Do you get any say into like what projects that you want to bring on board, or do you have any creative say like in Raimi Productions? Yeah.
Everything except for anything that I was one film I inherited, but I loved it. So everything, including this one. So
good.
Because it's it's a marriage when you have a project. It's it can take 2 years, it can take 12 years. It's just you have to love the team, you have to love the material. It's a constant upward uphill battle to get it made. So yes, I love everything that, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful to say that I do, but I love everything that I've produced.
Is there something that stands out to you with projects? Like, are there any projects that you're like, this is a shoe and we gotta like, is there some special something to certain projects?
Well, I will say I learned that nothing is a shoe, and you just never can guarantee the success to anything.
Yes.
But I think it's always about what the story is. What is the message? Like the message is really key. Who are the characters? What are their journey? And then working with Raimi Productions, it's about making sure it's super commercial, theatrical, or streaming, but something that everybody can watch and be entertained.
Yeah. So when you mean like commercial, like being able to bring on like high quality talent and have them be interested in the project so it gets that national and global recognition.
Yes, or making sure that people can relate to the story. You know, like for example, yes, yeah. For example, like my first film that I mentioned earlier, is about a Korean American mother and her child that live on a farm, but it's also very universal because the film talks about mental health, and it talks about what it means to be first generation of any culture and an identity. So it was specific, but then it was also very universal.
You said that there are toxic moments, especially growing up in the industry and making your way. How has that shaped you as a producer now and building your work culture as the producer of this set for people? Hundreds of people working on it.
I mean, that's a great question. I think personally, as an individual, I think when I first started out, I took rejection really personal. And I think as I've grown in this business, I've learned to not take it so personal and to understand that it's not targeted at me, or the no is maybe for other reasons, and just to keep moving. Mm-hmm. And that's, I'm a human being. I'm still learning that, and just going, like taking, you hear a no, you can find another way to find a yes, so just taking rejection, and I'm just trying to learn. I'm still learning to take rejection into another form and shape.
I saw this girl on TikTok, and she was talking about having a year of trying to accumulate 1,000 no's in a way. And then she would say, and this is how I failed at accumulating 1,000 no's. And she just then went on and said, and these are all the yeses that I got. Like I got into whatever to get my, bachelor's degree or master's. And then I got onto this commercial. And it's just all those ways of like maybe reframing no's that, again, it's not like a personal thing. And it's just more of like, try to put yourself out there as much as possible. And yes. I think too, especially like in this industry, a no can also mean like not right now, or maybe even like maybe it's the wrong person or the wrong brand, but it doesn't mean it's not quote unquote good, or like whatever it is that you're pitching or approaching or whatever it is.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And also just saying, and then on the other hand, saying yes to every opportunity. Mm-hmm. If it scares you, I think it means that you should do it.
Right. Absolutely. Like you had with your first film, you have that oh shit moment, and then you rally and then you get it together.
Yeah, definitely. And granted, like it takes a village to make a movie, and I surrounded myself with really strong department heads, but it was very scary, but I am so happy that I did it.
Yeah. And speaking of department heads, how do you like get people on and like pick those people? Exactly. Are they all just like mostly people you've worked with before, or is it a lot of recommends? What is it that you look for people?
I mean, there's a number of factors. I think every movie has been in a different location, so sometimes you have to hire a local, right? To get the tax credit. I go through also agencies for ideas, especially if I'm working with a younger filmmaker. Making sure that we're exposed to all the different options. But then if you work with a seasoned director like Sam Raimi, you'll know that he has, 3 cinematographers. Right. Yeah, his people. But when it's the other way around, when you're working with a younger filmmaker and you're hiring department heads, I mean, I always do a lot of reference checks. I think that's really key, and looking at their credits and then making sure it's a good personality match. for the director and myself with that department head.
So pivoting to Send Help,
Okay.
let's start off. How did this script even come across your desk?
Well, it actually was not a script. In around 2019, I was I'm a huge fan of the writers Mark and Damien, and they're known for Freddy versus Jason. And I reached out to their agent and I asked for a meeting, and we just hit it off. They're amazing dads. We love the same kinds of films, and I said, "How do we make a movie?" And we just bounced around a couple of ideas. And then this story of Linda Little really clicked, and we developed it into a full feature pitch. And then once we developed it into a full feature pitch, we brought Sam to produce, but he loved it so much that he directed it, and then we took it out to market. So it's been a long journey
Wow.
since 2019.
Yeah, speaking of being with something for years.
Yes.
Since 2019. Yeah. That's huge. So then when did it like become into a script form?
I think it was April of 2020 when we got the first draft. But then at that point, Sam signed on to do this small indie film called Doctor Strange. So
small indie.
Yeah, this small indie.
I don't know if anyone's heard of it.
Maybe you've heard of it.
Yeah.
But we lost him for a few years, so it's taken a while because of that. So, but we have, it's funny. You've seen the film. We've had a darker ending. I mean, even more darker ending.
Yeah.
And there's been many variations.
How
of the
can
script.
You go darker?
Oh, we'll have to chat
you
offline about that. I can, yes. Working with 20th Century has been a dream. I love working with them. They are hands down one of my favorite studios to work with. And we've had so much fun making it. And it's interesting. While I knew Allie McCarter, our creative executive on the studio, J.R. Young, the senior executive, worked for Sam for about 15 years. So there was a lot of like
family intertwining.
Yes. We were like one big family. So it was a really smooth process.
Oh my gosh, that's so nice. I love it whenever something goes straight.
I mean, it wasn't 100% smooth, but it was a great working relationship, and we all felt so comfortable getting the film into production.
Yeah, but it's nice to have those relationships already established, because when things do, come up, you can at least like, feel where everyone is, and you can kind of talk it out a bit more candidly, I would say.
Yes.
How did you get, the talent on that you got? Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien?
Yes.
Heavy hitters.
Heavy hitters. So with Linda Little, when we were casting, we wanted to make sure that we had America's sweetheart, right? Like you don't see her dark side coming. So we wanted someone that you just fell in love with, and Rachel's the perfect embodiment of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rachel and Sam worked together on Doctor Strange. So it was like we hit the home run with her. She's so lovely.
Go ahead,
that was one of our first comments after the film. We looked at each other where we were like, wow, the actors did such a great job. It was great. And then Jessica was like, I can't believe that they made Rachel McAdams look unattractive. And I was like, I know. That opening scene, I was like, what? How can you make her look gross? Like in her behaviors and stuff. She did so great.
And bravo to like hair and makeup costumes that like literally made her like the frumpiest looking person. I was like, what the heck?
Shocking.
How? Insane.
I know. We had Kiara was our makeup artist, and we had the best costume designer, and
also like the sound too, like the moist, like I don't know, like I really picked up on like
the close-ups,
the tuna sandwich, like oh my god, I was like, ugh, I feel like I could smell that.
I know, Rachel's so beautiful, and she's just stunning. So it did take a lot of work, and she's so hardworking and professional. She really. Like it was a lot of fun developing her look with her.
As an actor, I have a question about how her character developed. Did you see? Did she come to set with? Because she has physical mannerisms to this character that make her really come to life. Is that something that she just came to set having, or is it something that she worked out with the director or they built upon together?
She worked that was all Rachel. Like she built that on her own. Yeah, I know I could get into it, but I don't want to give too much. But it's crazy how she just transformed herself into this character. And no, that's all Rachel. And fun story, like so in the movie, she's got a pet bird named
Sweetie.
Sweetie. And Rachel told us a story about how her grandmother had a pet bird too, and they would share toast together, and they would both nibble on the toast. So when we hired our bird, I asked the trainer if he could teach the bird this. And he was like, yeah, no problem. And I was so excited to tell Rachel. So it was an homage to her grandmother, which was really sweet. And so in that, that the credit scene where she's watching Survivor and they're sharing the toast, like that was an homage to her grandma.
It was such a beautiful and such a cringy moment at the same time. It was like so telling to who this character is.
Yes.
And how important
also,
this,
again, just a little insight to the movies. For those of you who don't know, you do have to teach these animals certain things that you want done, like eating toast.
Yes.
It does have to have a note to the trainer.
It's so funny when we met with the bird trainer, Sam, Sam goes, I've got good news and bad news. He goes, because this was around Thanksgiving. I mean, this is around November. He goes, the good news is that you're hired. The bad news is that Thanksgiving's next week. So,
true.
Yeah. So it was just like nonstop jokes. Like the bird has specific rules. Like nobody could look the bird in the like. There were rules for the bird.
Oh my God, the bird is the diva of the film. It sounds like.
Yes, every movie needs a diva, and it was Sweetie the bird.
That's good though. If you can pick someone to be the diva, the bird is the best case scenario.
It's always the animals and the babies. Those are the divas. Yes.
What would you say, looking back at your first project and then looking back at this project, looking at the scale, what do you think the biggest challenge is when building to something this large?
I think securing the right home. So it's, getting the financing or finding the right studio. That is typically the biggest challenge. Developing is a whole other thing, but to me, I love it. I thrive off of developing and character and story and plot. But really getting the financing and finding the right home for it is probably the biggest challenge.
Okay. Yeah, what are some of are there some questions? Yeah. Well, because it makes or breaks it. Are people going to go see it? How is it being distributed? Or the act, I don't, what kind of, and questions even do you ask in the room or yourself that kind of determine whether this is the right fit?
Yeah. And it's the budget, what's the budget? What's the distribution plan? What's the marketing plan? What are the creative notes? There's so many factors.
Where was this film shot?
This film was shot in Australia and Thailand.
Okay. For both the the island scenes?
Yes. So Australia was the stage work, the offices, her apartment. Okay. And then Thailand, specifically Phuket, was the island. The island look.
How were logistics with that? With getting everyone over there and all of that?
Yeah. I mean, so we had to shoot out of order. I mean, most films are shot out of order. So we started in Australia where we did, the office, her apartment, and stage work were scenes like the cave or the cliff, the plane crash. So there were certain even island moments that we shot on stage. And then we all flew to Thailand and we took our department heads and we hired the local crew for it was an amazing crew. Oh my goodness. I recommend everyone if you have the opportunity to shoot in Thailand, please do it. The best crew, the kindest, most hardworking people ever. I loved it. The film was shot a little crazy out of order, but first in Australia and then we closed it in Thailand.
What do you hope audiences, feel when they walk out of the theater after seeing Send Help?
Well, I hope they just leave the theater on a high. I think the film is such a crazy roller coaster, and that when it ends, I want people to, we've tested the films a few times. You're cheering, but then you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? And
who
then
am I cheering for?
Exactly. And what I love about this movie is that people have different views of how, of what really happened or what happened. And it's a fun conversation film.
Yeah, I will say after seeing it, you just feel for all the characters and yet you hate everyone as well. And that
You're
like,
rooting for different people. You're like, wait, okay, I'm on your side. Nope, I'm
right,
on your side.
all the way up to the very end. I'm like, oh, I hope, and I'm like, no, but then, and you just like, I'm confused. I'm like, everyone is great and awful at the same time. It's very, everyone contains multitudes.
Yeah. Well, that's the human experience,
Yes,
right?
yes,
exactly.
It's like everybody has layers, and you don't know what battles people are dealing with. So
Yes.
just be kind to everyone.
Yeah.
And that's something I really appreciated. I was sitting in the theater, and sometimes when you watch like thrillers and psychological thrillers, you're like, I wish this character would just like manipulate them or like say this or do this. And with your movie, I really felt like yeah, that's what I would do. And that, I mean, not that I'm a psycho, but like, it was kind of like, as psychological thrillers go, for me, it was kind of cathartic. Like, finally, they're portraying real people, or possibly how people would handle this situation. I appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that, because even during set and post-production, crew members would say the exact same thing. Like, I would have done that, or I would have done this differently. But it's more interesting to me for the different, like, what men think and what women think. It's hilarious. It's
Oh yeah,
really...
I'm like, wait, what did the men think? I'm curious now. I haven't talked to anyone.
I know I can't give too much away, but it's really interesting to hear what both sides think.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously there is like women in the industry type of question and vibe here, which we're definitely not hinting at. But what speaks to you for like the theme for women in the industry in the film?
I think, yes, for women, but I think it's for everyone. Everyone's had a terrible boss. Everyone's been mistreated, and a lot of these, especially corporate offices, you've seen where people take credit for work that someone else has worked really hard on, and like hitting the glass ceiling and promised promotions and the continuous disappointment. So I think it's going to be really relatable for a lot of people who just have had a terrible boss.
Yeah, I think one thing Rachel McAdams's character says of like so much for like the elevator to the corporate level or whatever it is, and she says, but it seems like it's going to be step by step versus an elevator. Yeah.
So many people can relate to that.
Yes, 100%.
Oh yeah, I've had that line was said to me. It's like it's one step at a time.
Yeah.
Well, we really enjoyed it. We're so grateful to you and your team for letting us view a screening of it yesterday. That was so exciting.
Thank you so much.
You guys knocked it out of the park. Was there a biggest challenge of this film in particular? Was it the multiple destinations and the different crews? And then was there a big win for you that you felt as a producer? Other than the overall package of it, was there like a moment that was like, oh man, I'm really glad we nailed this?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge was that it was the first time both Sam and I have worked on a beach. So shooting on a beach comes with you have to work with the on-set sound and make sure like the sounds of the waves and the birds. And in Thailand, the cicadas were out of control. Like, the cicadas were just... That was, lovely, but not fun for our sound department. And I have so many videos of the sand sweepers. You have all this crew walking on the beach, but you're on a deserted island, so no footprints. So that was a challenge. In addition to, like, of course, my number one job is safety and making sure everybody was safe under the sun and hydrated. But we've never worked on a beach before.
And there were moments where there's those footprints, and the presence of those footprints were very crucial. So the continuity of that too must have been annoying.
Yes, I give a lot of props to the sand sweepers.
Yeah.
Was there like a major win that you felt in production?
I think for me the major win is always usually, I think, when I went to stage. It's like we're almost it's like in the end of the pre-production, and you're going to the stage and you're seeing this beautiful set that's designed to make it look like an island. And that is always a big shock. It's always a shock for me to get a movie made. And I'm so grateful. And it's always a pinch me moment. It's like, oh my God, it's actually happening, And
Yeah, when production designers get their hands on things, it's like, oh,
it's literally the movie magic.
Yeah.
It's movie magic. So I think that's always like, whoa, like we made, I always joke to the writers, I'm like, hey, we made it this far, we made it this far, like during every step of the process. And because making a movie is a miracle. So I think that's always a big whoa moment.
Yeah. How hands-on were Damien and Mark in the shooting process of this?
Right. So Sam is super collaborative with everybody, talent, producer. So they, we always needed to have pages turned in. So they were working a lot. They actually came to set, worked on a few scenes, but they were pretty active during production.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did you at all hire a consultant or just deep dive into research during the writing process for them or on set to make sure that the survivor aspects of it and like the life skills of it were being performed correctly, I guess?
Yes, we hired the brilliant Kai for now. I love her. She's amazing. She's a real life survivalist. For example, I needed her approval on one of her designs for our end credits, and she was legit gone for a full month. No phone, in the wild.
Oh, you hired the real thing.
Yeah.
She's a pure survivalist, and she's a badass woman. So she was working closely with Rachel during pre-production, and then she was there with us on set, making sure that everything we were doing was accurate. Because Linda Little, played by Rachel, she is her hobby is being a survivalist, and she loves the show Survivor. So we wanted to make sure that everything we were doing was accurate. But she's the real deal.
And that's something, just again, a reminder for everyone. This is something that the producers have to think of, is like all these little teeny tiny, like,
has to look accurate.
It has to look
accurate.
If
this is this person's main hobby.
You have to have sand sweepers. You have to have all these different things. And it's a lot to juggle for as a producer. And this is also why even from project to project, you learn new things, because on another project, you probably don't have a survivalist or sand sweepers if you're not on the beach or whatever, so crazy.
Yeah, the sand sweepers one. Yeah, it makes obviously it makes sense when you say it, but it's not something at all. Even though I was watching a beach for 2 hours, like it's not something at all that I thought of. And it totally makes sense.
Luckily, we didn't think of it. That means the movie was that captivating.
Yeah, nothing was out of place continuity wise.
Yeah,
we could catch.
Yeah, no
That's
Starbucks
so great
cup.
to hear. No Starbucks cup. Oh boy,
that we saw. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it
amazing.
Was you did a fabulous job.
Thank you.
Congratulations on having this film under your belt and all.
Thank you. It takes a village. It takes a village, but
you built the team. It takes a village, but you built that village. So
thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So question in terms of future, we always kind of like to say what's happening. Not that if you can say or whatever, but is there anything in the future that you want to look to as like trying things out, like different positions or movies or even TV shows or whatever stories that you want to explore, like as, a creative?
Yeah, I produced an action comedy called Boy Kills World, and I had such a great time working on that film. Just learning about the stunt department was, that, by the way, that was the one project that I inherited that predated me when I started. But we developed it for, it's 3 years, but just producing that one and learning about the stunts and the action, and then also with the comedy and hiring comedians and the magic of ad lib. It was so much fun that I would love to do more comedies. I've always wanted to do a sweeping romance. I want to bring those back.
Yes,
I really want to bring
especially rom-coms. We need rom-coms.
I know.
Combine them both.
I know. And a project I'm really excited about that I can talk about, that is actually written by the same writers of Send Help with Mark and Damien, is a project called Magic at Lionsgate. And that's very much like a sexy thriller. A love triangle.
Fun.
Yeah.
I love that a lot of these are kind of like combo genres.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
it's really fun. It's cool.
Yeah, when I saw, you know, the genre bending, you know, director Sam Raimi, I'm like, I saw the film, I'm like, yep, genre bending.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yes.
Pulling multiple things from different genres.
Yeah,
not
that's
just
one
two.
thing
Yes.
Mo had said after. She was like, it's crazy that like it's, you know, thriller horror, but like you don't really get that sort of action-packed stuff until pretty far into the movie, you know? And
Yes.
and yet
it's
very
funny.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, we laughed out loud.
It's both.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are multiple parts that we laughed out loud. Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, everyone we
It's-
were in the
it-
theater with enjoyed it with us too. We can say
Yeah.
like everyone was engaged. I mean, it was a small group of us, but we appreciated it. We had a great time, and everyone needs to go see it. It's in theaters January 30th this week. This week.
I'm so excited. And please check it out in 3D, 4DX, and ScreenX. Personally, I love 4DX. It's a ride, but literally a ride.
We
Please
didn't
check it
see
out.
it in 3D, but I definitely know I could see where the moments are that like really pop out at you. I'm like, oh, right there. That's
It was 4D for Jess because I jumped right next to her. So
right.
maybe that-
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. You jumped. Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
There were some jump scares in there.
That's great.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We so much appreciate you being here and talking with our audience, and we're so excited about this film and the trajectory of your career, and we'll be following and we'll be here. So
yes, and if people want to follow you, where can we send them?
You can send them over to my Instagram. I don't have Twitter. I don't have TikTok. I don't have Snapchat. But
Listen,
I have Instagram.
If you have something,
IG's
you
the
have
place
something.
to be.
Yeah. And also follow Raimi Productions. And I think you guys have an Instagram as well. So
yes, we
Raimi,
do have an Instagram.
Amazing. Yay.
And then we'll link
so much.
Of course, we'll link it all below in the show notes and information on where you can go see Send Help and go get set.